afternoon, I'm Mai Rodriguez. Today on Newsfeed at noon, Vice President Sara Duterte's Chief of Staff detained at the House of Representatives for, quote, undue interference in proceedings. The U.S. again vetoes a UN Security Council resolution for a ceasefire in Gaza. And a banana that took the art world by storm fetches $6.2 million at an auction in Sotheby's. Thanks for joining us. The Chief of Staff at the Office of the Vice President may have finally appeared before the House panel investigating their agency's use of confidential funds, but a letter to the Commission on Audit has led to her detention. Zandro Ochona has this report.
Despite attending the 6th hearing by the House Committee on Good Government and Public Accountability, OVP Chief of Staff Attorney Zuleika Lopez was cited in contempt Wednesday night. This stemmed from a letter dated August 21 asking the Commission on Audit not to comply with an order issued by the committee on appropriation on how the confidential funds of the OVP and Education Department were used. The letter was signed by Lopez herself.
When you issued this letter, Attorney Lopez, did you act on your own volition? Yes or no?
No, Your Honor.
Hindi. Hindi kayo nag-iisa. So sino ang kasama ninyo nung ito po ay inyong ipinarating sa Commission on Audit na hindi dapat sila sumunod sa subpoena duces tecum ng Kongreso?
Your Honor, this was a matter I consulted with Mr. Lemuel Ortonio.
Lopez said Vice President and former Education Secretary Sara Duterte knew about the letter. She also issued a clarification.
It is simply a request from to the Commission of Audit, given that there is still an ongoing audit investigation. That's why we requested that since hindi pa naman po natatapos yung audit, hindi naman po din tama na ibibigay na muna yung ganong documents. With due respect also to the audit still being done at the Office of the Vice President.
But her explanation was not enough.
May I move, Mr. Chairs, na nag-violate si Atty. Lopez dito sa ating proceedings or doon sa ating trabaho due to this Section 11 Letter F, undue interference in the conduct of proceedings. May I move to cite Atty. Lopez in contempt, Mr. Chair.
Lawmakers also emphasized that several OVP officials who continue to snub their hearings have run out of reason not to attend their investigation. Lawmakers stressed that OVP Assistant Chief of Staff Lemuel Ortonio has no valid reason to continue to skip their hearings, citing this as grounds for another contempt order. Zandro Ochona, BNC.
On now to the case of Mary Jane Veloso, a Filipina on death row in Indonesia. Her family is overjoyed now that they have a chance to reunite with her here in the Philippines. President Bongbong Marcos earlier announced Veloso is finally coming home after more than a decade following an agreement with the Indonesian government. On BNC's agenda, Veloso's mother, Celia, talked about her plans for her daughter's impending homecoming.
Mula po nung malaman namin na uuwi na po si Merdin, ililipat po dito sa Pilipinas. Masaya po kami. Wala po ako alam ihanda dahil kundi yung paborito niya lang na adobong baboy.
Veloso was arrested in Indonesia back in 2010 on drug trafficking charges. She was supposed to be executed in 2015. First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos goes to Pasay City to lead a program that aims to bring much-needed medical help to the public. Hannah T is on the scene at the Cuneta Astrodome and she joins us for details. Hannah, go ahead.
My First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos graced the last day of the Lab for All project for the year here at the Cuneta Astrodome. This is the 39th leg of the initiative and it aims to bring healthcare services closer to Filipinos nationwide as promised by President Bongbong Marcos Jr. Among those present was LTG Group Incorporated President Lucio Tan III, who represented the private sector's contribution to the project. Joining him were officials from the Department of Health, Commission on Higher Education, Department of Trade and Industry, and of course, the Pasay City local government. Today, over 1,500 registered patients are expected to receive medical assistance, including healthcare kits. This underscores the government's goal of providing equitable access to healthcare in line with the Universal Healthcare Act. The Lab for All project has already served residents across 84 provinces, delivering vital medical services like laboratory tests, consultations, and minor surgeries. Mai.
Hannah, it looks like it's a big help for everyone there, but you said this is the last day in Pasay. Will this project continue through next year?
That's right, Mai. It will continue next year, and it's not just health services being offered here, but also free legal consultations and other assistance. The tentative schedule for the next launch is in February next year in Valenzuela City. Back to you, Mai.
Thank you. Hannah T. reporting to us from Pasay. Over now to the crisis in the Middle East. The U.S. again vetoes a UN Security Council resolution for a ceasefire in Gaza. The resolution called for an immediate, unconditional, and permanent truce in the 13-month war. It separately demanded the release of hostages. Out of the 15 members of the council, only the U.S. voted against the resolution.
We made clear throughout negotiations we could not support an unconditional ceasefire that failed to release the hostages. Because, as this council has previously called for, a durable end to the war must come with the release of the hostages. These two urgent goals are inextricably linked. This resolution abandoned that necessity, and for that reason, the United States could not support it. Simply put, this resolution would have sent a dangerous message to Hamas. There's no need to come back to the negotiating table.
Israel's war in Gaza has killed nearly 44,000. Washington's decision roundly criticized by other members of the Security Council.
There is no right to mass killing of civilians. There is no right to starve an entire civilian population. There is no right to forcibly displace a people. And there is no right to annexation. This is what Israel is doing in Gaza. These are its war objectives. This is what the absence of a ceasefire is allowing it to continue doing.
Another loyalist makes it to U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet. Matthew Whitaker is Trump's pick as Washington's envoy to NATO. Trump described Whitaker as a strong warrior and a loyal patriot who will ensure that U.S. interests are advanced and defended. U.S. relations with NATO were strained during Trump's first term after he criticized the alliance for spending too little on defense. The reunion we never wanted. Members of globally renowned British group One Direction gathered to attend the funeral of their bandmate Liam Payne. Harry, Zayn, Niall, and Louis joined Liam's family and friends for a private church service in England. Liam died last month after falling from the third floor of a hotel balcony in Argentina. His shocking death triggered an outpouring of grief from fans around the world. One Direction last performed as a 5-member group in 2015 before Zayn pursued a solo career. Post-election rally of cryptocurrencies continues as Bitcoin hits a new high. The details when Newsfeed at Noon returns. You're back at Newsfeed at noon. The Philippine Economic Zone Authority says it is on track to meet its 200 billion peso investment target for the year. This as investment approvals have already amounted to 186 billion pesos. That surpasses the amount recorded in the full year of 2023, which was 175 billion pesos. It's also higher by 32% from the 141 billion peso investments in the same period last year. The PEZA board approved 222 new and expansion projects from January 1 to November 13. These are expected to create 60,000 direct jobs and generate more than $3 billion in exports. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas expects to conclude its probe into unauthorized deductions from GCash by the second week of December. Apart from identifying the root cause of the issue, the BSP says it's also assessing potential vulnerabilities in the mobile wallet operator system. The central bank is also reviewing the company's compliance with regulatory standards. GCash attributes the recent deductions to a system error, particularly in its Send Ang Pao service. Several companies are planning to invest in renewable energy here in the Philippines as demand for power increases. They're confident there's strong economic growth potential in the country. Sujin Kim tells us more.
Following the launch of Tesla in the Philippines and growing adoption of electric vehicles, coupled with the increasing interest in the country as a hub for data centers, the demand for energy is on the rise. Companies likewise are stepping up to meet this need through renewable energy investment and initiatives.
The idea here is not to just cover the additional demand of energy, but also energy that is being phased out. And so it's also replacing existing energy, but also covering additional energy demand.
To support this transition, Buscowitz Energy, in partnership with Mitsui and Patrizia, is working towards renewable energy development, a move that is set to meet its ambitious target of 500 megawatts of solar capacity.
Our goal is really to build as much capacity as we can and contribute to the objectives of the government and the world. So provide energy security, that's our main goal. To ensure that we have access and every Filipino citizen and business has access to sustainable energy solutions, not just power, but any, even energy efficiency solutions and services.
This means more jobs, more local investment, and a greater capacity to produce clean and reliable energy.
Foreign partners say they see clear potential in the Philippines, citing its strong economic fundamentals and growth opportunities in the sector.
We think the greening of the energy sector is a big space for investments for private capital. And obviously, Buscowitz Energy is a critical part of our green energy transition.
When we look at the macroeconomics, we can see the growth of the GDP. It's probably one of the top countries within Southeast Asia. We are really confident in this infrastructure space in Philippines.
Currently, Buscowitz is building 40 megawatts of rooftop solar capacity, with the goal to expand to 400 to 500 megawatts in the next 5 years.
We have an extraordinary opportunity to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels, to cut carbon emissions, and to enhance energy security. The projects born from this partnership will not only contribute to the national goals of the Philippines, but might also help to establish the country as a renewable energy leader in Southeast Asia.
Sujin Kim, BNC.
Another automaker announcing job layoffs due to losses. Ford says it will cut around 14% of its European workforce as part of restructuring. More than 2,000 of these will be in Germany, 800 in the UK, and 300 across the rest of the continent. Nissan, Stellantis, and General Motors had also announced layoffs to cut costs as the industry faces challenges, including weak demand for electric vehicles.
You'll be aware that the global automotive industry is going through a period of massive disruption at the moment, and nowhere is that situation probably more intense than in Europe. We've got unprecedented competition, regulation, and lots of economic headwinds. So as we thought about how we make sure we protect and future-proof our business, we have realized that we need to restructure.
The Bitcoin surge continues as the world's biggest cryptocurrency touches $94,000 for the first time. This following reports that Donald Trump's social media company is in talks to buy crypto trading firm Bakkt. This adds to hopes of a less restrictive regime for digital assets under the incoming Trump administration. Cryptocurrencies have soared since the November 5th elections, with a global market value topping a record high of $3 trillion. We're taking another breather. Still to come, a banana that took the art world by storm fetches more than $6 million at an auction in Sotheby's. Keep it here on Newsfeed at noon.
Get the latest on the economy and the financial markets.
We got a really big push during the pandemic, but since then, how has it been? Now, fundamentally, and given the anticipated rate cuts, where do you see the PSE index headed if either Trump or Harris win?
Down to each basis point.
12.75 billion peso deal to modernize the Lagundingan International Airport, a move that's expected to boost Mindanao's economy.
Basis Points with Mikey Orel. Weekdays, 9:30 a.m. on BNC. Bawat anggulo ng bawat issue.
9 out of 10 Filipinos ang nais na mapanagot ang mga corrupt officials.
Bawat detalye ng mga napapanahong pangyayari.
September 23 nang simulan ng Israel ang air attacks sa Lebanon.
Tuloy-tuloy na ihahati hanggang Sabado at Linggo. Weekend Agenda. Sabado at Linggo, 5:30 p.m. sa BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel.
Welcome back to Newsfeed at noon. The weak yen continues to propel a tourism boom in Japan as the number of visitors in the country hits a record high last month. Japan welcomed 3.31 million tourists, up from 2.87 million in September, and exceeding the previous monthly record of 3.29 million set in July. The country's famous autumn leaf colors contributed to the increased tourism demand. Through October, about 30.2 million people visited Japan, just shy of the annual record of 31.9 million set in 2019 before the COVID pandemic shut global borders. Still in Japan, where even robotic dogs get the only child treatment, owners of Aibo, Sony's robotic dog pets, attend a ritual called Shichigo-san at a shrine in Tokyo. It's usually held to pray for a child's health and well-being. But as Japan's birth rate fell to a record low in 2023, the aging population is finding consolation from mechanical pets, treating them as their own children. Some of the owners even had their beloved robotic pets in strollers, while others held them close with baby carriers. From a controversial art piece and now the world's most expensive banana. The conceptual artwork called Comedian, which is actually a banana duct-taped to a wall, fetched $6.2 million at an auction in Sotheby's. It was originally estimated to sell for just $1.5 million. The winning bid was placed on behalf of a Chinese collector and founder of a cryptocurrency platform. The notorious installation took the art world by storm in 2019 when it debuted at an art fair in Miami. It's crazy money for a duct-taped banana. And those are the news this hour. I'm Mai Rodriguez. Keep it here on BNC, the Bilyonaryo News Channel. Good afternoon.